We have watched reverse culture shock videos on other YouTube channels, people who've been gone from their home country for a long time, and to be honest, we kind of thought they were exaggerating.
Yeah, we were wrong. After living abroad for over 3 years, we spent a month in the United States, and the reverse culture shock is very real. We had a family emergency, so we had to go back to Texas on very short notice, and I am very grateful for our online jobs, which allow us that flexibility.
We also spent some time in Kansas while we were there visiting my family, and it was really interesting to see the cultural differences between Texas and Kansas, as well as between the United States and Ecuador.
So in this video, we're going to share the 22 things that we found really weird about the United States after living abroad for several years.
And some of them are really shocking. Number 22, our jaws about hit the floor on number 22. In fact, it shocked the whole family.
Okay, we're going to start with number 1, and that was the extremely hot temperatures.
It was so freaking hot in both Texas and Kansas. It was 105 degrees Fahrenheit, which is, I think, over 40 degrees Celsius. We're just not used to that. In Ecuador, the temperature rarely goes above 75, especially in the mountains where we've spent most of our time in Ecuador. And it's so nice. It gets down the 50s at night, the 70s during the day, and that's it. Year round is pretty much always the same.
Well, and also we have not been in air conditioning. So we were really shocked to be spending all of our time in the air conditioning and just having that dry air just pumping on us nonstop. I forgot how much I disliked that.
Number 2 is all the drug ads, the ads for pharmaceuticals. They're all over television, billboards. We do not see that in Ecuador. And I guess we forgot how much that was just in your face in the United States.
Yeah, that was really weird to me. I completely forgot about those obnoxious drug ads and then how they list all the crazy side effects.
Yeah, especially at the end of the radio commercials. And it's like 30 seconds of this may cause death. All right, number 3 is the fancy highways and bridges. We are not used to that either.
Yeah, we've forgotten because driving around Ecuador, it's a lot of 2-lane roads or even some 4-lane roads, but they're not all decked out like they are in the United States. The U.S., they're very nice. We were very impressed.
Yeah, they're decorated. They have emblems on them and like fancy railings and stuff. In Ecuador, they pretty much just slap a slab of concrete with some steel reinforcement over the rivers, and that's good. Some of them don't even have railings, or they'll have just really short railings, or they'll have like metal bars that are like 2 metal bars this far apart. No way, like it's safe. You could easily fall off. But in the United States, boy, they're like Taj Mahal of bridges.
Well, and also driving around in Texas and in Kansas, you know, they've got the roundabouts and the big fancy loops, and I don't even know what the correct terminology is, but the engineering is extremely impressive.
Yeah, the highways are just unbelievable compared to Ecuador.
Number 4 is that, well, JP had to drive everywhere. If you've heard me in recent videos, I like to say that I do not drive anymore and I hope to never drive again. But there's no getting around that in the United States.
Yeah, it's not walkable. Like some of the roads just didn't even have sidewalks, so there's nowhere to walk at all. And we just ended up driving everywhere. The closest grocery store was like 2 miles away. It was a Walgreens. It wasn't even a full grocery store. The super Walmart was 3 or 4 miles away from the house. And you just can't walk that. Like here, we could walk out and there's like tiendas within blocks of here that we can go shop at, and full grocery stores. We can walk to everything here.
Yeah, if you want to live like that in the United States, you have to live in like Chicago or New York or in a city. You know, we had some places we could walk to in Denver, but it was not the same as the way it is structured here in Ecuador. You really need to have a car in the U.S.
Also, part of driving everywhere is everybody feels so stressed and rushed.
Yeah.
And that's because we spend so much time in our car. We didn't have time to do anything else. So a lot of times we would have to stop and get takeout or eat out because there just wasn't enough time to go home and cook after we spent all day driving all over town.
Reason number 6 is gas is really expensive. We had forgotten because we don't have a car, and it's painful to fill up.
Yeah, and also gas is regulated here in Ecuador. So the regular gas, like the medium octane gas, is I think $2.45 a gallon. Diesel is like $1.75, if I remember correctly. The premium is over $5 here, but most people don't have cars that take that. But in the U.S., we were spending $60 a week to drive Amelia's parents' car, and that is like 3 times what we spend almost for the entire month of transportation here in Ecuador. Just 1 week of gas.
Yeah, that was a harsh reality that we had left behind for several years.
Yeah, that was definitely shocking every time I had to get that credit card out and plug it into a gas pump.
And number 7 is the limited public transportation, which we kind of touched on about walking and driving. Unless you're in a city like Chicago, which has an awesome train system and a lot of buses, you're gonna have to have a car.
Yeah, their Uber obviously is all over the U.S., but we didn't see a single taxi the whole time we were in Texas or in Kansas. Where here we just walk out on the street and hail a taxi. It's so easy. Plus their buses. I mean, sometimes we have to wait for 4, 5, 6 buses to drive by while we're trying to cross the street. And I think we saw maybe 1 or 2 buses when we were in the States. That was it the whole time.
Yeah, it was really surprising because we are so used to seeing the yellow and the green and the red buses as part of our landscape. And we did not see that there.
Number 8 is that food is really ridiculously expensive in the United States, but alcohol, surprisingly, is super cheap.
Yeah, we were really surprised by that because we decided to buy a bottle of wine, and we bought this bottle, the same type we used to buy when we lived in Denver 6 years ago. Was that 6 years ago? Wow. It was the same price.
Yeah, the price had not changed in 6 years on our favorite wine that we used to buy. But yet food was, I couldn't believe the food costs were unbelievable. I understand now why people are freaking out so much about inflation in the United States, and food isn't even part of that number, that inflation number. I would easily believe that food has inflated the price by about 50%. It's ridiculous that it's nowhere near 8%.
Well, and we aren't even talking about shrinkflation, which is the fact that on top of the food prices being higher, the quantities are smaller. So it's a double whammy.
Number 9 is that everything is the same. The roads are the same. The shopping malls, strip malls, restaurants, there's chain restaurants everywhere. Everything is a chain. Everything is the same. It's extremely homogenous. And that was kind of the same between Kansas and Texas. It all looks the same.
Yeah, it was really interesting. We have forgotten that because we just don't see a lot of that here in Ecuador. But number 10 is that there are strip malls everywhere. And so I guess it gives you a sense of comfort to know that you can find the same places everywhere across the United States. But then you don't get the diversity, which is kind of disappointing, I think.
Yeah, and the variety. And you don't have the scavenger hunt that we go on when we go shopping here in Ecuador. We always call it the scavenger hunt because you can't go to one place and get everything, or even one strip mall and get everything. You usually have to go around to find the things that you're looking for. But in the U.S., you can pretty much drive to one place and find everything you need, or just order it on Amazon.
That is true. So there is something to be said for that convenience, but I kind of like our scavenger hunt.
Yeah. Number 11 is something that's new since the pandemic, and that is there are staff shortages everywhere. There are help wanted signs everywhere. The banks, they had to shuffle employees around. We went to a bank and there was nobody in there. It's just shocking how many, the stores just don't have people working in them anymore.
Yeah, it was really eye-opening to see that in person. We've heard about that, but it's one thing to read about it in the news. It's another thing to walk in and realize that there's one person managing an area where there used to be probably 4 or 5 people.
Yeah, and number 12 is the empty shelves. That is something we have never seen before in the United States, our whole life living there. And to go back and see just empty aisles of empty shelves everywhere because of the transportation crisis and the manufacturing shortages and all that stuff.
Number 13 is that we ate out a lot, definitely a lot more than we do here in Ecuador. And part of that was because we were rushing around and we were in a hurry. Part of it was because there's more variety of places to eat out. So we ate a lot of Thai food, which we don't really get here much in Ecuador. But it was really the convenience, and that caught up to us, let me tell you.
Yeah, 8 pounds. I gained 8 pounds in 1 month. And I've already lost probably half of it, but man, that was painful to come back and get on that scale. But that's what eating out does. It's so high calorie.
Well, yeah, there's always a price to be paid for convenience, but also, we spent a lot more money. As we mentioned, we had some sticker shock to see the prices of food at the grocery store, but also food going out to eat.
Yeah, the two of us, when we would go out to have lunch or something, if we were running errands and didn't have time to go home and make something, it was like $50 just for the two of us to have lunch with no alcoholic beverages.
Yeah.
I mean, here in Ecuador, she and I can eat out for like $10, $15, maybe $20 at the most, but $50 for basically something equivalent to a Chipotle. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, we were really shocked by that. And then number 14 is Also, that tipping is basically mandatory now. There was tipping for everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah, I know some of that came out of the pandemic when the servers weren't making money because nobody could come into the restaurants. Well, that's been kept apparently because it benefited the business. They don't have to pay people anymore. But I just don't feel like it's right that I should have to tip someone who all they did was take my order at a counter. Like, they didn't come to the table. They don't serve you at the table, but I'm still supposed to tip? That doesn't seem right to me.
Number 15 is the flavorless fruits and veggies.
Yeah, they didn't have any flavor. It's unbelievable. We're so used to everything having such a rich, deep flavor here. The carrots are sweet. The apples are juicy and they taste like apples, and that's not even a specialty in Ecuador. We get things like papayas and pitahayas and amazing tropical fruits. The bananas here, every time I peel one, I'm like, God, this smells just like a banana cream pie. In the States, none of that stuff had any flavor. The bananas were super green. When you bought them, you had to let them ripen for several days. The avocados were hard as a rock. I bought an apple, this big, beautiful looking apple. It had no flavor at all. It wasn't even juicy. We were really disappointed in how poor quality the food is.
Yeah, we were really spoiled here with the freshly grown fruits and vegetables that we get here. And then number 16 is, as we mentioned, weight gain. And we've heard this from a lot of people who go back to the U.S. for a few weeks or a few months, and they always end up gaining weight. And I think part of it is the fact that, like I said, we're eating out. You're eating all those convenience foods, which we don't do as much here in Ecuador. The food's not as nutritious as far as I'm concerned. That's my personal opinion. And it's just all those convenient little snacky foods. It's easy to sit here and just reach into a bag and snack away because there's a huge variety.
And plus, we drive everywhere instead of walk, so we're not burning all those walking calories. Like, we walk everywhere. We average usually 6 to 7 miles a day here in Ecuador. Back in the U.S., I think we walked about 2 miles, and that most of that was on our morning walks that we took around the neighborhood. So you don't exercise as much. Plus, I think that when the food doesn't taste good, you tend to eat more of it, and because you're just not satisfied. And here, when we eat, we're satisfied because it tastes good. Number 17 is their vending machines are all credit card now. They're all automated. You just swipe your card, or sometimes you just tap your card on the little chip reader, and then you open the door and you take your stuff. That seems really strange to us now.
It's super convenient. I did like that, but then we went into the airport and they had this open store concept, but it was gated. So you had to put your credit card in and it opens the gate, and then you walk in and you just take whatever you want and then walk out. And there was an attendant there, and she said that they have these cameras and they could tell by cameras and weight, I guess, what you take. That one really baffled me because I was like, how did they stop people from just helping themselves?
I know, we saw several of those kiosks in the airports that were pretty much just self-serve. You just grab what you want and you just swipe it. And some of them, we didn't even see anybody standing around monitoring it. I'm guessing there's a security camera watching somewhere, but it just seems so weird to us how automated it all was now.
Yeah, but boy, it sure was speedy. I did like that.
And number 18 is kind of related, and that is you use a credit card for everything. Everything is a credit card, and it's usually just the tap now, which we're really not used to that much, although we're seeing those more in Ecuador. But literally everything is credit card. We could order food, go to a restaurant, you sit down, scan the QR code with your phone, which is weird, and then you order on the app and then pay on the app, and then they just bring you the food right to your table and you don't ever see anybody. And of course you got to leave them a tip for that.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Number 19 is the same day or next day delivery, which is just incredible.
Yeah, we don't have that here in Ecuador. Although some things we do get the same day. If we order from a local vendor, they'll deliver it. And we do have grocery shopping, a service called Tipty, where they'll go and do your grocery shopping for you and deliver it to your house, and you place your order online. That's new since the pandemic. But in the U.S., we were shocked. We placed an order at 7 o'clock at night, and it was on the doorstep when we woke up the next morning.
Yeah, that was through Amazon. I guess this is more about Amazon delivery because we haven't used it in 3 years, and it used to be 2 days with Prime, and I was really happy about that. But this whole less than 24 hours is just crazy.
Number 20 is all the new technology. It's all this new stuff since we've been there over 3 years ago, like the charging stations everywhere, Teslas everywhere. I would be at a stop stoplight, and there'll be multiple Teslas around us and other electric cars too, not just Teslas.
What blew me away was going into Walgreens and going up to the cooler section, and now they have these like digital displays that shows you on the door what is supposed to be inside the cooler. I say what's supposed to be because we opened them and they were empty.
Yeah, we were really shocked about that, but the displays were really cool, but we kind of thought that was a good, like, well, that's what America is about now. It really looks cool and shiny on the outside, but then you open it up and there's like, nothing in there. It's empty.
Number 21 is that Americans kind of dress a little bit sloppy. Ecuadorians dress nicer, and we've heard from Ecuadorians that they think Americans dress like slobs, and once we were back in the U.S., we're like, well, yeah, I guess I could see that.
Yeah, we dress really casually in the United States. A lot of t-shirts with like prints or sayings on them and stuff, and just like not very nice. We don't dress very nice as a culture anymore. Here in Ecuador, we commonly see men walking down the street in suits. Women are wearing dresses. They just dress really classy and elegant here. And we go back to the States and everybody's in cargo shorts and t-shirts and ball caps. It's just it's a kind of a shocking disparity for us.
It's definitely a difference in the culture for sure. Plus, of course, we have the beautiful indigenous people with their incredibly vibrant clothing, which I think makes a big difference compared to Americans in our kind of more neutral stuff, our drab colors and our yoga pants.
Yeah. All right, you ready to talk about number 22?
Oh my gosh, number 22.
Amelia, this one really got Amelia. She couldn't stop talking about this one for like the whole time. In fact, we still talk about this.
Number 22 is the pubic hair commercial. I'm still shocked by this. I showed it to my mom and her jaw was like hanging down. She was shocked. I think they were advertising razors. I don't know. It was just the craziest thing I have ever seen in my life. It was like this cartoon about grooming and how TikTokers show you grooming eyebrows and stuff like that. But then you also want to groom your pubic hair. And then they had like dancing pubic hairs in different colors.
It was the weirdest thing.
We were all of us just kind of blown away.
Like, is this what America has come to? Dancing pubic hairs? I mean, we've been gone for 3 years and it's all falling apart. I don't know what else to say about that.
I don't know either.
This is why we now think America is weird.
That was weird.
All right, guys, we wanted to let you know because we often forget to talk about this, but we have a really awesome community over on Patreon. We offer a bunch of additional benefits to our patrons, and we have a short video explaining all of those benefits, including it talks about our private community where we have a bunch of people who are either thinking about moving abroad or who have already moved abroad, and they're eager to help and provide support. Check below for a link to that so you can learn more.
If you thought this video was funny, then check this one out next.
We've said it before and we're going to say it again. We are so happy to be home in Ecuador.
Yes, but we're really excited to go visit some new Latin American countries very soon.
All right, guys, if you thought this video was funny, leave us a like, please. That always makes us happy.
Yes, and we will see you all in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.